Alright guys, welcome back to Elden Ring. We're beginning this episode in the Round Table Hold. This is where we left off last time, where we got our remembrance from Enna after we killed Godric the Grafted. Now, we met two NPCs in the last episode. The first we're going to go to is Nefeli here. We need to exhaust all of her dialogue so she'll move to her next location, and we'll also get a talisman, the Arsenal Charm. Now, this is the first of three versions. This one will give you 15% extra equip load. The second one, the Arsenal Charm plus 1, will give you an equip load of plus 17%. And lastly, the Great Jar's Arsenal will give you a 19% equip load. Now we're going to buy some smithing stones to upgrade two weapons. The first weapon we're going to upgrade is the Misericord that we got from the last episode, the Dagger. We want to get this as high as we can. We're going to actually take it to plus 13. We're also going to upgrade the Yurumi to plus 12. The Yurumi is going to be part of a dual whip build setup that we're going to have, but we really don't have everything we need for it right now, but we're going to go ahead and upgrade it to plus 12 because it's an excellent whip, and with the Claw Talisman that we got from the last episode, the jump attacks are going to be really good with it. Now, after we upgrade our weapons, we're going to talk to our second NPC that we met in Stormville Castle, Roger. After we tell him we defeated Godric, he will give us his rapier, because as we saw from the bloodstain at the bottom of Stormville Castle, he is injured now and no longer has a need for it. In addition, because we have already done some of the legwork by going to Black Knife Catacombs to obtain the Black Knife print, we can advance his questline to the next step, which involves us going into Rya Manor. However, we are going to put that off for now, because in this episode, we're going to gain access to our rune farm. We're going to sneak into Volcano Manor. We're going to kill a boss. We're going to get some high-level Somber smithing stones. And we are going to get a very important talisman, the Dagger Talisman, which will be a companion piece to the Misericord. And the Ash of War that will go with it, the Royal Knight's Resolve. Then we're going to go finish off the episode by killing a boss, the Magma Wyrm Makar. This is so that in the next episode we can start the Volcano Manor requests and get our next whip, the Magma Whip Candlestick from Patches. And there's the rapier. Now we need to talk to him again and ask him about the corpse. This will open up additional dialogue and give him the Black Knife print. We'll need to sit at a grace or just reload the area so we can exhaust more dialogue. He'll give you back the knife print and tell you where to go next.
Now I have a fairly lunar demigod. Hers was the truly, but if Rani, then she should be. I would like you to protect. And then all I have. So there's a manor. It is the familial home. There's been talk of the Rani's.
We will need to meet the witch Rani again. This is the witch that gave us the spirit bell at the beginning of the game. We'll get to that later. It's a much involved quest and we got a lot to do. So for now, let's go back to the area in Stormville Castle where I said we were going to return to. We need to go across this bridge. There's a teleporter that will lead us to the Divine Tower of Limgrave. We need to go to this location to activate the great rune that we got from Godric in the last episode. Once we do activate this rune, we'll get a whopping 5 levels in every stat, which is pretty significant. However, there's a caveat. Once you die, you lose all of those levels again. And the only way you can reactivate the rune is with a rune arc, which is a somewhat rare drop from rats. It's kind of like Humanity or Embers from Dark Souls series. Now, on your way to the teleporter at the end of the bridge, you're going to be met by 3 golems. They have golem bows, they have these halberds, so they're a pain in the butt, especially because all 3 of them are going to spawn at the same time, and so you're going to be shot at one of them from a distance, and there's going to be another one on the right and one in front of you, so I'm going to show you an easy way to take out all 3 guys here. The first thing you want to do is your setup. You're going to want the Axe Talisman, pretty much the same thing that you had from the Godric fight. Now once we down a golem, we're going to want to quickly switch to the Misericord and do a critical hit. This is going to be a recurring thing for us. Whenever we get a chance for a critical hit, we're always going to switch to the Misericord, and if we have time, we'll do the Ash of War that we have equipped with it. Either Determination or the better version, the Royal Knight's Resolve. That's the one we're going to get at the end of the episode. But you want to just run under this guy's legs, and you're going to do a charge attack. 2 charge attacks with the Nox Flowing Sword, 2-handed. We'll down the golem, just switch to the Misericord, and do a critical hit. It will take him out. Guaranteed. Now you just want to back up and let the golem shoot his friend and down him immediately, and then we'll just use the Misericord straight away. Take out the second one. Now for the third golem, we have to get to cover. But first we're going to have to dodge at least 1 or 2 of his arrows. Probably just 1 since he's very slow on the reload. But we're just going to use these pillars for cover. Once he fires 1, you can pretty much just run behind him, get on his back leg, do 2 charge attacks, and it should down him again. Misericord, and he's done. That's all the golems done. Now, you can farm this guy in particular for the golem bow, which I hear is a very good bow if you have the strength to wield it. But we're not doing a bow build in this playthrough. You want to come down here to get a scarab helmet. We're not going to use it, but it's down here. It actually decreases the amount of FP for Ash of War use. The Ash of War Scarab. Now this scarab will decrease the amount of FP cost for skills by 15%, but it will also increase your damage taken by 10%. But you can stack this with the Rya Lucaria crest, which was 25% less FP for skills. So that'll give you 40%. 40% less FP for skill use if you have this helmet and the Filigreed crest. Not too bad, I must say. Now here is your teleporter, which will take you across to the other side of the bridge, which will lead you to the Divine Tower of Limgrave, where you will activate the Great Rune of Godric. But like I said before, you will need rune arcs. You can get these from rats, or you can purchase them from the Twin Maiden Husks. There's 5 of them for sale there. They're not cheap, though. Like I said, they act just like humanity or embers from the Dark Souls series. So as long as you don't die, you don't have to worry about losing it. But obviously you're going to die in this game. Now, I kind of make a mistake here by activating the Great Rune. I probably should have waited, because there is a death coming up that's scripted pretty much, and we can't really avoid it because we're taking a back entrance into Volcano Manor, and it involves us dying. So use all of your runes that you have, and don't use the Great Rune yet. This is for demonstration purposes, but I probably should have just waited. So I'm out a rune arc, but it doesn't matter. But just if you don't want to lose your rune arc, I wouldn't suggest activating this rune just yet. But you have to activate it here, and then you can use the rune arc once you equip it. You have to equip it from the grace first. So just touching here won't do enough. You have to actually equip it into your slot, and then you have to use a rune arc to get the benefits. Now, like I said, I don't recommend doing it here, but I did it just for demonstration purposes. So you're going to sit at a grace, and you'll see a new option is available called Great Runes. So you'll be able to select a rune, and then you can use the rune arc in your inventory, and this will give you all the benefits. You'll know you've done it because your icon in the upper left corner will be glowing. And as you can see, our levels have increased temporarily. As long as we don't die, we'll be able to keep these levels. 5 levels in every stat. That's pretty significant, I must say. But like I said again, if you die, you lose it all. You'll have to get another rune arc, or just farm them from rats. Now I'm getting the jar cannon out here because there are a few annoying birds coming up. They're not as big as the ones in Stormville Castle, but there's just a couple of them here. And we want to get the items on the bridge. Nothing crazy, it's just for the sake of completion, because we're not really coming back to this area. And just a reminder, if you guys haven't been farming the birds for their feet, the foul foots, which will go with your gold pickled foul foots and your silver pickled foul foots, and here's a good opportunity to get a few. There's quite a few birds on the bridge here, but the big ones are the ones we want to take out. We don't want to be annoyed by these birds. We just snipe them from distance. But yeah, there's quite a few birds on the bridge. You can possibly get some four-toed foul foots. Now the silver pickled foul foots will become relevant later. We are going to have to farm quite a bit for some items, but right now it's not really that important. But the gold pickled foul foots are important because we are using them after the completion of any boss kill where we get a lot of runes. But you're going to need the gold fireflies as well. And I really haven't shown you guys how to farm those, but we'll get to it later. You have to deal with rune bears in the vicinity, and they're not the funnest enemy to deal with. But I have a kill set up. In the next episode, I will show you how to deal with these rune bears. We will be able to trivialize them pretty soon, don't worry. I have a really good setup for killing these things now. Now that we have this area complete, we're going to go head back to the first step side of Grace at the beginning of the game, and this is where Vare was standing. He'll leave us behind a gesture. Bravo. Now we want to go ahead and begin Vare's quest, and in order to do so, we need to head to Liurnia of the Lakes, to the Academy Gate Town side of Grace, and head west. We're going to head west from here. As you can see right here, there is a church. This is where Vare is. But this is also an excellent place to farm blood roses. And the reason I say it's excellent is because you can die over and over to an enemy in there and just respawn at a statue of Marika and just keep getting the roses very quickly. However, there is an even better way to get roses, but that involves killing an NPC that is stronger than any boss you've faced so far. We're not going to do that yet. Now I'm just doing my loadout for our next battle here. We're going to use the coiled shield for the first time, our friendly snake. And we're going to do a knockoff version of our dual whip setup. I say knockoff because it's not going to be our final version. We're going to do a temporary setup with our regular whip. We need to make our regular whip do fire damage, so we're going to put the Flame of the Redmanes on it temporarily. And we're going to have Hoarfrost Stomp on the Urumi. So here's the thinking behind this setup. We use the Hoarfrost Stomp on the Urumi to activate Frostbite. Now, once Frostbite is active, you can't reactivate it until the status effect wears out. But if you inflict any kind of fire damage after proccing the Frostbite status effect, you will reset that status effect and you'll be able to inflict it again very quickly. Doing this in a loop will give you chances for massive amounts of damage on large foes that have a large health pool. We will be using this status effect in the next NPC fight, which you don't have to kill this NPC, you just have to invade him 3 times. You can invade a online player 3 times, or you can invade this guy 3 times. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, but of course we want to kill him because we get some rewards for doing so. Now here is Vare. He will ask you how your audience went with the 2 fingers. You need to tell him they didn't seem right. It's your first option.
My doubt, the words of the truly, I believe, even worse. That's the part.
Keep exhausting his dialogue. He will give you this festering bloody finger. This is so you can invade someone 3 times. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. Offline or online, it doesn't matter. We're just going to have to use it 3 times. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to do it offline. So we need to head to the Altus Plateau, to the forest-spanning Great Bridge, Side of Grace. Now I'm going to pass time into morning because I don't want to travel at night. Before heading out, let's go ahead and put on the Flame of the Redmanes on our whip, so that we can reset the frost status effect easily after we inflict it using the Hoarfrost Stomp skill that we're going to put on the Yurumi. So we have cold and heat. Let's break out our coiled shield for the first time and show what kind of deadly poison it can inflict with our pet snake here. We'll put it in the slot up here. And make sure to put on the Beast Repellent Torch because the area is crawling with rotten strays. And even after you win your fight with the NPC, if you come back to the area, you will be swarmed by them if you do not have the torch. Now to reach Writheblood Ruins, which is the location we need to fight this NPC, we need to get off this bridge and head west until we can find some spirit springs. There's 2 of them that will take us to the location. But I'm going to make a mark on the map here. You want to head west after getting off the bridge, but here's where your spirit spring is. So just follow that marker. But be wary of worm face enemies here. They will cause death plight upon you, and you don't want to deal with that, so just keep on rolling. We will fight some enemies like that later on, including a boss. But for now, we're just going to go head to our location. It's easy to get distracted in this game. Just head towards your destination. You want to drop off here, and there's some spirit springs just ahead. Now there is the Bridge of Iniquity nearby after you get to the second spring. So you want to go up this one, and there's another one right in front of you. And I highly recommend you guys hit this grace, because if you die before getting to the invasion part, see right there's the bridge, you can go left there, and there is a grace to the left of the bridge. Yeah, if you die before getting to the invasion part, you'll have to do all of this again, so it's better safe than sorry, but I didn't do it because I knew I had the torch and the dogs wouldn't bother me. So you want to stay to the left of the ruins once you get to the top here. And I don't recommend going inside the ruins, just stay to the outside because our area is right over here. Make sure you have the beach torch on, like I said, because you will get absolutely swarmed by multiple dogs that are in the area. Now to take on Magnus the Beastclaw. He wields a Great Stars Club with spikes and bestial incantations that will cover the ground. So he can be quite annoying, but we're going to open up with our snake. Once you hit him once, he'll be poisoned. It instantly procs poison on him. And then we're going to use our Hoarfrost Stomp a few times. Once you see him covered, kind of like covered in snow, you'll know the effect has proc, and you can reset it by using your whip. Just make sure your regular whip, the one that we put the Flame of the Redmanes on, is the one that hits him, because that's the one that's going to reset the status effect. And that's pretty much it. It should only take 2 procs. As long as you're keeping your distance and jump over his bestial incantations, should be okay. You'll get a Rune Arc, you'll get the Great Stars Club that he was using, and a Somber Smithing Stone 6, which is huge for us. I will reiterate again, if you do not have the Beast Torch equipped right now, you are absolutely getting mauled by multiple dogs, because as soon as you respawn in the main area, they will attack you. Trust me, I have been there. I have the t-shirt for that one. Alright, so we want to go ahead and head to the Bridge of Iniquity, that grace that I told you about, because there is another Somber Smithing Stone we want to collect, but it's quite out of the way, but it's worth it because we need the higher level Somber Smithing Stones, and they're just not going to be available until we reach the mountaintops of the giants, which we are going to go to relatively early, but any Somber weapon we can get past +4 is going to be huge for us for the time being. But this one in particular is another Somber Smithing Stone 6. We just got one from killing Magnus the Beastclaw. Now we're going to get another one up here. Now after you cross the bridge, take a left here and get this grace. Don't forget doing this, because if you were to die, it will shorten your distance significantly. And now we're just going to climb a very long ladder to the next part of the mountain here, and then we're going to find another grace, and that's where our smithing stone will be. But take care, because this ladder is kind of hidden. You want to stick to the left here and be careful of the abductor versions that are about, There are multiple abductor versions that will ruin your day. There's another way to come to this area. It kind of loops around, and we'll get to that later, because we do need to fight Anastasia again, the enemy that we fought in the Smoldering Church earlier. We have to fight her 3 times. After we kill her a 3rd time, we'll get a ancient Somber Smithing Stone, which will max out our weapon. But we're going to get one of those in this episode, but that's yet another one we can get. Once you reach the top of the ladder, head left until you find the Grace, and there'll also be a gravesite nearby, which you can loot, of course, for some easy runes. But I'm going to tell you guys, runes will not be a problem. By the end of this episode, you will be able to get as many runes as you could possibly want, and with very little effort as well. We're talking 18,200 runes every few seconds. Not too bad. But I'm going to try not to use this method to get my levels up. Instead, I'm going to use this method to get as many runes as I can to level up my weaponry, because smithing stones are quite expensive. And here is your Somber 6, right next to this wolf, but we have the torch, so he's not going to bother us. Now we're going to head back to Valray. Now, I should have hit a Grace earlier. I'm going to go ahead and mark it on the map. In between the Academy Gate Grace and the Rose Church is another Grace, and we didn't get it last time, but this shortens the distance to the Rose Church. Now, I mentioned this before, but if you want to farm for blood roses, this is the best location that I have found, because all you need to do is just go and get killed by the enemy inside the church, and you'll respawn right in front of the church and be able to loot the roses inside the church again. There's something similar you can do in the Altus Plateau, but for me, this is a lot easier access than going to the Altus Plateau. And there is another enemy in that church that you'll have to kill that's a lot more deadly. Yura has already mentioned her, but we'll get to that later. But here is your Grace. Ideally, we want to be able to purchase blood roses infinitely. Now, we can do that. However, the game's not going to make it easy for us. We have to kill an NPC merchant. And this merchant is more powerful than any boss we have fought so far. He is so incredibly tanky and so incredibly powerful. This is one time I'm just going to hold back until I'm more powerful to take him out. And I mean a maxed out weapon and maybe some more health. I haven't upgraded vigor yet. This guy is just too much for now. Sure, we could maybe cheese him, but we're going to find an easy way eventually. We'll get the cloth that we need to soak in the blood of the maiden. And all we have to do now is go back to the Church of Inhibition, which we did earlier. We did some legwork earlier. We don't have to worry about killing the NPC here. We've already done it. And here is our maiden. We just soak it. Now we just return to Valray and get our prize, which is a port key of sorts that will take us to Mog's Mausoleum, and this is where we will get our rune farm. We will get so many runes from this area because the game has scaled it to the end game. So every enemy is going to be worth a lot of runes. And what we're going to do is we're just going to shoot a bird over and over, but all it takes is one shot and it just will commit suicide off a cliff, and it will give us a whopping 18,200 something runes every time we do it. And the Grace is right there set up conveniently for us to just reset the bird over and over. Now, you only get 13,000 runes if you don't have the Gold Pickled Foulfoot and the Golden Scarab active, but with both you'll get 18,200 something runes. And it does not take long to build up a ton of runes because of how quickly you can get the bird to respawn, because the Grace is right there. Now, he's taking our finger off, and we'll have an infinite source of invasions now. This is like the Red Eye Orb from Dark Souls. Now, you want to continue to exhaust this dialogue until you get the Pure Blood Knight's Medal. This is the port key you need to reach the area we need to get to our rune farm. And very high level items like a Somber Ancient Smithing Stone, which will fully upgrade our Somber weapon. Now we're just going to use the blood metal to instantly transport ourselves to Mogwin Palace. Now there is a grace up here we want to hit. Go ahead and get this map. And there's a grace up these stairs. Now we're not going to go forward here yet. This is the way to the boss and to that uber powerful merchant that we cannot kill yet, or we don't want to attempt to kill. Instead, we're going to come back this way until we can get on Torrent. But take care, because there is some very deadly enemies in this area that will one-shot you. All we're trying to do is work our way around here, across this area here, and up here. This is where we want to get to. It's not that far, not that hard to get to, as long as you don't mingle around with the residents and find out how deadly they are. There is a scarab that we'd like to get. However, the Albonurics do not take kindly to you going into their cave, and they will murder you with reckless abandon, so I just don't want to do it right now. There is a useful incantation in here. It's kind of like Dorothy's yawning from Dark Souls 3, and you saw how powerful that incantation was, or miracle was, that we did in our last Dark Souls series. It's similar to it. The swarm of flies. Obviously, it causes a lot of bleed build-up and bleed damage. But there's the scarab that we'd like to get because it has a really good Ash of War called Blood Tax. We're not going to do it just yet. We're just going to get to our location, which is up here. These Albonurics are very dangerous, guys. Look at this damage. Just almost killed me right there. It should have killed me outright, but because I have the rune activated, I didn't die. But had I not had the Godric's rune activated, yeah, I would have died there for sure. But here is your grace. And this is our farming spot for runes. So here's how it's going to work. You need the bow. And nothing else really except the arrows reach talisman and a bunch of arrows. I don't recommend the bone arrows because they don't have enough reach. Yes, you can make it work, but it's not worth it. Just get the regular arrows out. You can purchase 1,000,000 of them by the time you do a few of these. It will not be an issue. You will need the golden scarab, arrows reach talisman, and you'll need gold pickled foulfoots. I haven't shown you guys exactly where to get the golden flies yet, but it's in Limgrave. It's not hard to get. And I'll show you guys how to avoid the bears later. But here's the bird in question. Pop your gold pickle foulfoot. And sometimes the tree may block your arrow, but it's okay. Eventually you will get the hit, and all you have to do is hit it once. Once you hit it once, it will commit suicide. Once it falls off the cliff and dies, you will get a whopping 18,000. Well, actually, I misspoke. It's 17,000 for some reason. I thought it was 18. Here I am with my math issues again. Okay, so it's 17,000 runes every time you shoot it, which is still not bad. As long as you have the gold pickle foulfoot and the golden scarab equipped, you'll get 17,000 runes. If you time your arrows just right, you can shoot it almost immediately. If you aim right there, as it's walking towards you, aim right there in between those two branches there, you'll get it to hit every time. The faster you do this, the more you will get out of your gold pickle foulfoot. Now we're going to go head back and upgrade. Now I've already upgraded. I've cut that part out. I've upgraded all my weapons to +12. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. I did all the legwork already. And it does not take long, guys. It does not take long to get enough smithing stones to upgrade to +12. I'm just going to go ahead and empty my chest out. But yeah, you can exploit this to get levels very quickly. I mean, you can get millions of runes in less than an hour, so you can use that to level up your character as powerful as you want him. But for me, I'm going to try to rely on that rune farm just to level up weaponry. I don't want to use it for levels yet. If I come to a point in the game where I have to fall back on it, so be it. But for now, I'm not going to use it to get levels. But you do you. Like I said, there's no wrong way to play Elden Ring. Do whatever you want. Now, I am just setting up for my next battle with an NPC fight. This is part of Yura's quest. We need to go to Ray Lucaria Academy and help him out. So we're going to use our Frostbite setup again. We're going to craft some sleep pots for later, although I'm not going to use them, but it's like a backup type situation. We're going to use the Claw Talisman and the Ritual Talisman. Now, normally, to get into Ray Lucaria Academy, you have to go through a bunch of enemies. There you have the gate well guarded, but we're just going to teleport right in front of the gate, and this is the way to do it. I mentioned this teleporter earlier that I really like. You go back to the highway north of Liurnia Lakes on the eastern side. You come over here, and you just hit this teleporter in the Purified Ruins, and it will spawn you right in front of the gate, so you don't have to deal with any of those pesky enemies or finding the entrance, because it's not the easiest entrance to find, in my opinion. Make sure to hit this grace, and when you go through the gate, you'll see another grace right in front of you. Now, you will need the Glintstone Academy key, but we've already done it. We've already did that a long time ago, so we can... Now, we have three choices here. We can go into the Academy, we can go find a merchant, or we can go help Yura. We're going to go help Yura, and then we're going to go into the Academy. The merchant can wait. So you want to head in this direction, and we're going to go all the way to the end to get a golden seed before invading. Golden seed right there. Now, the strategy for taking out this NPC, we're just going to use our dual whip setup again with the frostbite setup, the Yurumi, and then we're going to reset it with the regular whip like we did against Magnus the Beast Claw. And we're going to also jump attack. Using the Claw Talisman, your jump attacks will do 15% more damage, which is huge for us, so we're going to do that as well. But we've leveled up both of our whips to plus 12, so this fight will not last very long. We're not meant to have a weapon this powerful at this stage of the game. But the enemy will also be fixated on Yura, so we can just kind of get the edge, get the drop on him. This is just keep your distance and rinse and repeat. Nothing much to say here. He will heal once, but it's a formality. He's going to die. There's no way he's going to survive this. Doing the frostbite status effect and resetting it, he's not going to last. Plus, you can do your jump attacks. The jump attacks with the dual whip setup is very effective. He clipped us on the way down there. We'll get a Rune Arc, and we'll also get an Ash of War that will help us evade certain traps. And it is the Raptor of the Mist's Ash of War. Now we're going to go talk to Yura. Make sure to exhaust all of his dialogue. You'll get a Smithing Stone 5 as a reward for helping him out. Now, you need to exhaust all of his dialogue to make him move to his final location. Well, it's sort of his final location. We'll get to that later. But he'll be in Altus Plateau in a church. But we'll get to him later. Now we want to enter the Academy. Now, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time in the Academy. We're just getting into an area where we can get transported into Volcano Manor. I mentioned that we were going to take the back way into Volcano Manor, and that's what we're going to do. Because we don't want to do the quests yet for Volcano Manor. We just want to get some items. So we will need the Jar Cannon right now. Because as anybody who has played this game and has been in the Academy knows how annoying these mages can be with their pesky spells that just go on and on and on forever. But with the Jar Cannon, guess what? We don't have to deal with that crap. We're just going to shoot them from distance, and we'll never have to see them even fling their stupid wands around like Harry Potter. We're just going to eliminate them immediately from a distance. And the Jar Cannon is wonderful for doing this task. So as we approach the gates here, there will be 2 Glintstone sorcerers right at the door here. All we got to do is just snipe them from this door right here. They'll never even shoot at us. We'll never have to worry about them. 2 shots. I'm using the regular ballista bolts because I want to ensure their swift death. Now take care when you come in this door. You're going to have 1 Glintstone sorcerer right in front of you, which we can snipe, but there are also marionette soldiers hung about throughout this room, and we're going to take them all out from distance so they do not aggro and drop on us. So there's one right here. You can just shoot right there. You'll have to free aim though. There'll be another one over here. So there's 2 on each side, I think. Yeah, we can get the drop on them right here with a good angle. Shoot this one. There's one more right here. And clear. No more marionettes and no more glintstone sorcerers. This room is clear. Don't forget to get the Somber Smithing Stone 3 in the back of the room here. And then we're going to go back to Round Table Hold because how many amount of runes you have, you did kill that NPC that gave you a little bit. And you killed those glintstone sorcerers and the marionette soldiers. So you'll have some runes. You don't want to waste them, so we're going to get the most out of them. We have to die. There is no getting around it. And we don't have a sacrificial twig, so we can't hold on to our runes in any capacity here. So let's just spend them now. And I recommend using them on the thin bones because we need as many thin bones as we can possibly get right now. Because the boss coming up will take them from us. So purchase as many thin bones as we can possibly get here. We're just going to max it out. Now we're going to go back to the academy. So for this next section, we're just going to run through it. But you're definitely going to want your beast torch out because there are some dogs here. But more importantly, there are putrid corpses that have blue eyes. There's many variations of the putrid corpses, but these will drain your health and your FP if they grab you. After you cross this bridge, you might get shot by a group of marionette soldiers that are perched in the cave above. We'll come back to that area later. There's some marionette ashes that you can get there. But as you can see, these dogs are all around here, and as long as you have your beast torch out, they won't bother you. So it's just best to just run through this area right now. Avoid the putrid corpses with the blue eyes. Like I said, they will drain your health and your FP. Now in this next area, there are some platforms that go up and down. We want to ride the platform to the top here. And our first opportunity that we can get off, we want to get off and move to the right side and then get to the ones that go down. So we're just going to ride it up here. We're going to get off right here. And we just want to jump off and turn right immediately, come over here, take this guy out, and then just wait for the next platform and jump down. Alright, so here's the plan. We need to get abducted by the abductor version down here. We have to die when he grabs us. When he grabs us, he'll cause a lot of damage when he puts us inside of him. But we need to die when we're inside the contraption, not when we're outside the contraption. So make sure you get grabbed and you die there. We might have hurt ourselves by putting on the rune earlier. I really don't suggest activating the Great Rune now until after Volcano Manor, because this is one reason, and the second reason is you're going to lose, the ability to use it. So we're going to come behind it because there is a talisman over here. It's like the cat ring from Dark Souls 3, but it's definitely not very useful in this game, I must say. But we want to get grabbed here, so you can get hit once, but as long as you're grabbed and you die within the contraption, you'll be okay. But this is another reason why we used our runes before coming here. Once we respawn, we will be deep in Volcano Manor. You will spawn here. Now, you will be trapped here until you get to a site of grace. We're going to put on the cat talisman here just for giggles. It's not that useful. All it does is grants immunity to any non-lethal fall damage. So any fall damage will be negated, but yeah, if you fall too far, you'll still die. But here, you just want to get through this lava as quickly as you can. Don't stick around too long. And be wary because there are enemies in the lava, like these slugs, that will harm you. But there's also some serpents that will be in there later. So you just always want to be aware of your surroundings. We will be coming back here shortly because that staircase up there, that's the way to the boss that we're going to be fighting next. You want to come over here to this ladder, climb this ladder, but you won't be able to get into the door to the left. It's got to be open from the other side, but there is a way to get to the other side. So all you got to do is come over here where this archway is and make a diagonal leap over here, get through the door, and just get to the grace because you're going to be attacked by a manserpent most likely. He will follow you to the grace, and there he is. You can fight him or die to him. As long as you hit the grace, you should be okay. We're going to use our dual setup here to take him out. Now these Manserpents come in 4 varieties. You have the ones with the basic whip, you have some with the Magma whip, the curved sword, and the Magma blade. Now shortly after we kill the boss, we'll get a Spirit Ash that is a Manserpent who wields a Magma whip candlestick. Not only is this a snake, but it's a snake that wields a whip. So very Indiana Jones appropriate for this build. And we're just doing some boss prep here. We want to have both of the stamina tiers in our physics flask. And for now, we're going to keep our dual whip set up because we need to kill an enemy before the boss. Because if you don't, he can actually hit you through the fog wall after the boss fight has started. So yeah, that's very annoying, I must say. But we need our blood bone bolts for sure. That is our #1 weapon against this boss. Blood bone bolts are your best weapon against the Godskin Noble. You can use sleep pots if you want, since this boss is highly vulnerable to sleep, so it can give you an edge up in the battle. But the main thing about this boss is his second phase when he starts rolling around. And I'm going to show you guys a safe way to kill him where you won't take any hits. But it's not an exact science, but I've done it consistently, so I'm pretty confident that this is probably the way you should do it. Now, take care. Approaching this staircase here, there is a Manserpent up here that's patrolling back and forth. He's the one with the whip. You do not want to aggro this guy. He's very strong, and he can actually whip you right off the lift. As soon as you get a chance, just go right past him. Crouching, of course. You do not want to alert him, like I said. And once you reach the top, don't go to the left right away. You want to go to the right because there is a Somber Smithing Stone 5 over here, and we need that. By the end of this episode, we will have fully maxed out our Nox Flowing Sword to +10, but we got to get the 5 here. Volcano Manor has 3 stones that we really needed to get, 5, 6, and 7. Now here is a Fire Monk. These guys are not hard to kill. Just with the dual whip setup, just give them room when they want to use their fire attacks. And we're just going to go in with our jumping attack here. Since we have the Claw Talisman equipped right now, we're going to do extra damage with our whips. We're not even going to use our Hoarfrost Stomp here. Our whips are strong enough to take him out at +12. Now it's apology time once again. I said in a previous video that I didn't think Shabriri's Woe was very effective. I changed my mind after this boss fight. So here's the deal. We're going to use Shabriri's Woe to take the attention off of our summon. Our Spirit Ash will be able to inflict rot on him a lot easier and more consistently if we have this talisman equipped. But the trick is you need to be actively attacking the boss. If you're not attacking the boss, he will get drawn to your summon. So just keep pounding this boss from a distance with blood bone bolts. That's the key to your victory. But you have to be wary of the second phase. Getting behind a pillar, and to the left side of it usually, there's like a sweet spot, will keep you safe, and you'll see what I do in the second phase. But just keep your distance, run away from this boss. Do not get close to him at all, and just keep pounding him with the blood bone bolts. As long as you are actively attacking the boss, your spirit summon will be able to inflict rot pretty consistently. And we do get the rot on this boss. Now, even though I don't use any sleep pots in this boss fight, it is a highly effective strategy against this boss. He's very susceptible to it. But here's the second phase. When you see him rise up like that, get behind a pillar and crouch. The sweet spot seems to be about to the left side of these pillars. And you just want to take this opportunity to continuously shoot the boss with blood bone bolts until the phase is over. And once it's over, you need to quickly create distance because he usually opens with a flurry of thrusting attacks from his rapier. You do not want to get caught up in that. You will not survive it. So you just need to keep creating distance. And he's going for it right there, as you can see. But he's near death from the rot anyway, so a few more shots. And that's him done. Now make sure to pop your gold pickle Foulfoot. And if you can, quickly switch the gold scarab for your maximum rune acquisition. Now that we have eliminated the Godskin Noble, we have access to a lot of key items in Volcano Manor. Most importantly being a Somber Smithing Stone 7. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but now we'll have access to 7. And 8 and 9 are in Kaled, very accessible. Also, we'll be able to get our Ash of War for the Misericord, which is going to give us an extra 40% damage on a critical hit. When we combine that with the Dagger Talisman, which is also a key item we're going to get in Volcano Manor. That's going to give us another 17%. This item on the altar here is important for Rya's quest. We'll get to that later. We are also going to get our first Bedseed Curse. Now this is important for the Dung Eater quest. Now we need to take the lift up here to this balcony of sorts and jump down. We're pretty much going to be running through all the enemies. We're not really going to fight them. They're not worth our time for the most part. These slugs right here, you can just walk past them. Don't linger too long though. They can kill you. But you want to drop down here, and then you got to climb up here. It's pretty much a linear path for the most part. But you definitely want to avoid this enemy coming up. He will hit you through the wall. Just dodge the Abductor Virgin as best as you can. Sometimes I like to just run around him like this, but he has killed me so many times through the wall, so you just gotta be careful. When you open this door, it's a straight shot. You'll have a Manserpent to deal with, but I usually just run past him as well. But take care, he can follow you. And here you want to take a quick left, but be wary of this enemy. I usually just kill him because he will follow you and grab you and pretty much one-shot you, so... But you just want to open up this lift, so this will give you a shortcut back to the area, so you don't have to do all that again from the boss room. Now you want to jump down here, and remember this area because this is going to be an area you need to come back to for Rya's quest later on. But we're coming down here to get a Somber Smithing Stone 6. Yet another one we're going to get. As many of them as we can. Now you might see some serpents out in the lava there. They will come out of the lava to attack you. But again, we're just going to wing it and run past these enemies as best we can. And there's some basilisks in here. Yes, our favorite enemy from Dark Souls series that can curse you in that game. In this game they do Death Blight, which is the same thing. It will pretty much kill you if it builds up. But there's our Somber Smithing Stone 6. Now we're just going to get out of dodge here. But we will run into the area that we have to talk to Rya. It's just on the bottom here. This little side room with candles. Right here. Remember this area. But we're going to use this ladder to get back up to where we were. And the next item we're going to get is one of my favorites. It's our spirit summon for the game. Our main spirit summon. We have used the Rotten Stray Ash very effectively, but this is going to be our Indiana Jones summon basically, because it's a snake that has a whip that I mentioned earlier. Pretty cool, I must say. When I saw this spirit summon, I just knew I had to make it part of my build in some way, shape, or form, just because it fit the theme so well. Do not fight these enemies because they will attract other enemies you do not want to fight. Stick to this path. You do not want to aggro enemies behind you. And here's one of them coming anyway. But we're going to outrun him. Put in the 2 stone sword keys here. These are the other 2 stone sword keys that I mentioned at the very beginning of this walkthrough that you would need to have. A total of 3. 1 for the Mesricord and 2 for this area right here. You want to drop down here. There's going to be a mage of sorts coming up. Don't aggro the serpent on the left here. Just run to the left of the stairs. Most of the times I can dodge that bolt, but not this time. And now we have access to one of the better talismans for our build, the Dagger Talisman. As I mentioned before, this will give us a 17% increase in critical damage. You want to make your way down here. We got to get to the bottom floor, so this is the best path to take. The path of least resistance. You can jump down here and take out this guy, because if you decide to go the other way and drop down onto this small ledge, this guy will snipe you from across the way. But this is definitely the easiest and most effective way to get down here. You just want to jump down and hit all these cages. And you definitely want to make sure you get onto this cage, because these enemies down here, like I said, they will grab you and one-shot you. But we can use volcano parts or just shoot them. I have opting to shoot them here. But this one might get too close to you. As you can see here, I cannot shoot him. He's too close to my cage here, so I'm just going to take out the other ones first. The ones we can shoot. They're guarding the path to the Somber Smithing Stone 7 and the Bedseed Curse. Like I mentioned, we need that for the Dung Eater quest. Once the area is clear, you'll need to make your way to the opposite side of the room because that is where we get our Ash of War, and you can open up a shortcut, which I highly recommend you open up the shortcut and hit the Grace up here, but I didn't hit the Grace, but I do recommend you guys do it. You want to come in here and get this Ash of War, Royal Knight's Resolve. Okay, so what this does is it gives you an 80% increase in damage on your next attack. But for critical hits, it only does half that, so 40% damage when we do a critical hit. And we're putting that on the Misericord. So we're not going to get the 80% unless we do a regular standard attack. But we are interested in the critical damage we're going to get, which is another 40%. When we add that with the Dagger Talisman, another 17%, 57% extra critical damage is huge and significant. And you will see that when we kill our next boss at the end of this episode. Make sure to take out this guy and get the Bedseed Curse. Now, take care. There's an Abductor Virgin up here, and you don't want him to spoil our plans to get the Somber 7. Grab the Somber 7 and just get out of here. Drop down the ledge and just run away. You will not be able to use your map, and you won't be able to go anywhere because this is a shortcut we did not unlock earlier. We should have, in hindsight. The Godskin Noble fight is across the way. And we don't have access to the other side yet because we didn't come in the proper way. We came in the back way, so this door will be inaccessible to us, but we will get access to it later. But if you run away far enough, you should be able to have access to your map again. Now we're going to go back to Round Table Hold and level up some more. We're going to level up our Arcane now. We need to get our Arcane up to 20 at some point. But 16 is going to be our first goal, and then 20 is our second goal. 16 is so we can wield our next weapon that we're going to get. And 20 is for a weapon in the Mountaintops of the Giants, which is one of the best weapons in the game, although it was severely nerfed. But we want to head back to Gray's Dragon Barrow here, because we need to get some more Sombers. Somber 8 and 9 are very easy to get. This will take our Nox Flowing Sword to +9. Now we're going to get it to +10 by the end of this episode, but that involves us doing a suicide run to get the Ancient Somber Smithing Stone. But we'll do that just before the end of the episode. But for now, we can get it to +9. You want to take out this Scarab here. Now this Scarab is very tanky, guys, and he will run away from you. Even if you knock him off the cliff sometimes, he'll get stuck on the ledge of the cliff and you won't get it. And you'll have to restart the area. But just go after him, get the Somber 8. The Somber 9 is very close by. You just want to come down here and drop off. And it's pretty much right there, along with a Rune Arc, which you do want to start collecting those now that we have killed Godric. There are some other great runes that you can use, but for now we're just going to stick with Godric. We haven't killed any more demigods yet. And there's our Somber Smithing Stone 9 and our Rune Arc and an Arteria Relief. So a big haul down here. Now we're going to go back and level up the Nox Flowing Sword to +9. And then we're going to go get the Ancient Somber Smithing Stone from a very dangerous area that we're not interested in completing yet because it's very high level. We're not really supposed to be there, of course, but we can do a suicide run to get the item, and then we can level up to our max. We can max out this Nox Flowing Sword. For us in this part of the game is huge. But we need to go back to the Dynasty Mausoleum entrance. Do not engage any enemies, guys. These guys are beyond us right now. Just run past every enemy you see, especially once we get into the cave, because we're not interested in fighting them. And there is a merchant in this cave that we want to kill. Yes, we are going to kill a merchant. Our moral compass is taking a hit here, but we want to do it. It's going to benefit us in the long run. But we're just not ready because this merchant, guys, is so incredibly powerful. I can't stress that enough. He will kill even a 100 level character with no problem. So we are going to come up with a strategy to kill him, but it won't be in this episode. I will be wanting to do it pretty soon, though, because the items that we can get from him are going to benefit us so very much in this game, I'm telling you. So we're just going to run past all these enemies. Don't engage. If you want to, you can turn on a light source here, which we are going to do. You do not want to stick around in this cave for long because sanguine nobles, that's what they're called, will come out of the floor and they will kill you. Do not fight them. They're just too much for us right now. At our vigor level, we're not going to survive. So just run in this direction, get this good rune here, and we need to get up to the top here as fast as you can and get to the grace up here because the sanguine noble is on his way. You can see the ghost gloveworts that we're getting are very high level. This is a ghost glovewort, level 9, so you know we're in a high level area. Grab this grace. It doesn't matter if you die. We're going to do a suicide run anyway coming up. If you have any runes, I recommend spending them because you're going to probably die here. I've already edited it out because I've died. You just want to run up here. These Abonorics will kill you instantly with their attacks. We're just trying to get to the chest, open it up, and grab the item as fast as we can. There's a Sanguine Noble right here, but you should be able to get the item and get out, maybe. But it doesn't matter because we're just trying to get the Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone here, the Somber. But you'll probably die on the way back to the Grace too, and you'll see, yeah, I die here on the way back. Thought I was home free, and there it goes. These guys are not to be messed with. And now that we have the Ancient Somber Dragon Smithing Stone, we can level our Nox Flowing Sword to its maximum dealing capability. Now, I had a tough decision on what I was going to max out first. It was between the Nox Flowing Sword or the Giant's Braid. And I decided to go with the Nox Flowing Sword because the Giant's Braid does fire damage, and some enemies are resistant to fire damage. But slashing damage is what the Nox Flowing Sword does, and most enemies are not immune to it. So I figured it would be more beneficial to go with the Nox Flowing Sword. And it is the right decision. Now, let's go ahead and put our Ash of War on our Manserpent. The Royal Knight's Resolve, I have mentioned this many times, but it will give you 80% extra damage for the next hit that you do. But for the critical hits, will give you an extra 40%. So it's still great damage, and we're going to make the most of it. Now, eventually we're going to put a Keen Affinity on this Manserpent, but not right now. We don't have a high enough dex stat yet, so it's just going to be better off just keeping it standard. Now, we're going to go kill a boss. You want to make sure that you have these two crystal tiers active, the Stone Barb Cracked tier and the Spiked Cracked tier. We're going to go ahead and put Golden Vow back on our whip so we can buff again before boss fights. Now, here's what you want for the boss. I'm going to redo this setup here. First slot, you want your whip for your buff. The second slot, you definitely need the Cestus. The Cestus is going to be the key to victory here. Third slot, the Manserpent. That's what you want, no doubt. Now, for the talismans, the Dagger Talisman that we just got, and the Axe Talisman. With this setup, the boss will be nothing to us. I end up killing this boss in 44 seconds, so no problem. We're going back to the ruin-strewn precipice, and we want to get this gesture from this NPC here. We are not going to summon the NPC for the boss fight because we do not want this enemy to have more health. So this is going to be a recurring thing going forward. We're not going to be summoning NPCs. We're just going to either use our ashes or just fight them solo. We're not even going to summon our ash for this one. But once you summon this guy, you'll get the casual greeting gesture. And we have to kill this guy in the next episode, so don't get too friendly with him anyway. He's our enemy in the next episode, so let's go ahead and erase him. And get ready for the boss. Like I said, it's going to be a short boss fight, guys. We're going to run in. You just run straight in here and start buffing about right here. You're going to need Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, drink your flask. Now he usually charges straight away, and you just want to run away from him until he's finished. This boss will do a lot of fire damage to you, but we're just going to end him so quickly because we have the Cestus with the Crystal Tears active, which is going to make him stagger very quickly. We're going to put on the Royal Knight's Resolve with the Dagger Talisman. One critical hit will take him down to the second phase, and a few hits while he's transitioning, and the boss fight is over. That's how easy this boss fight can be, guys. And I recommend doing it like this. This boss is more weak to blunt damage, strike damage, so the Cestus is the best choice. Try to get your extra runes if you can. We'll be coming back to this area in the next episode because we need to fight that NPC that we just talked to that gave us the gesture, the casual greeting gesture. Patches wants him dead for some reason, so once we kill him, we'll get the Magma Whip Candlestick, which is going to be our third whip and part of our dual whip setup that I mentioned before. Now you want to come up here. This is the way you would normally come if you didn't use the Grand Lift of Dectus to get to the Altus Plateau. This is your alternate path. We're just going to hit this grace and we're going to call it an episode. Our main goal in the next episode is to start the Volcano Manor side quests. And we're going to get our Magma Whip Candlestick and a few other goodies, which will make our stealth setup a lot more viable. Alright guys, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.